Have you ever heard of tapping or EFT? I have an expert who is going to tell us all about tapping, the history, how it works, why it works, and even give us a couple of demonstrations to use it for things like chronic pain, emotional upset, and even cravings. That's coming up in Tapping with Tess Fisher. So stay tuned. Good morning, I'm Trista Polo. I woke up this way and it's awesome. To be who you want to be, you must first accept who you are. I am so excited because I had the opportunity to sit down with Tess Fisher. She has been using tapping both personally and professionally for over a decade. She has thousands of hours of training and on-the-court use. She not only leads herself through tapping processes, but she can lead other people through them as well. Now, we're going to be showing you how to deal with things like chronic pain, cravings, weight loss, and even emotional turmoil. You could get rid of it completely. But when you go into any kind of tapping experience, just be aware that you are responsible for your own well-being and any of the results you get. Episode 1 is an intro to tapping. Now, even if you know what tapping is and you've tried it before, stay tuned and watch because I want you to get to meet Tess, hear a little about her background and her experience, and also what she has to share with tapping. I promise you'll hear something new and you'll get something great out of it. If you're not familiar with tapping, this is a perfect way for you to dip your toe into it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get in there with Tess. Tapping with Tess. Here we go. Morning, Tess. Are you awesome today?
I'm definitely awesome today.
I am so excited. You're my very first interview on this YouTube series. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
Now today we're talking about a pretty cool topic. It's called tapping or EFT. And Tess, you're somewhat of an expert of your own making in tapping. You used it in business. Tell me a little bit about your experience and background with tapping.
So the tapping, I started that in, I want to say like 2006 or 2007. I have chronic pain. And that was the original reason that I started using it. And I mean, it is a chronic condition, so it's not something that I've been able to get rid of completely. But when I use the tapping to kind of lessen the pain, it's really beneficial. And then once I realized how much that was working, I started using it for more of the emotional stuff. And that's what the EFT stands for. The E is emotional, F is freedom, and T is technique. So with the emotional freedom aspect of it, I started using it for a lot of other things, and then that grew to sharing it with other people and then sharing it in my business to help students to be able to kind of overcome some of the stuff that keeps them back.
If you could say a little bit about your business, you were working with students in what capacity?
Yeah, so I had a tutoring company, and I do still do some private tutoring, but not a lot. But with the students, it doesn't matter the age, whether it was a younger student or an adult student. There's something that often holds people back when they're having trouble learning. So a lot of the students were coming to me with varying forms of test anxiety, personal self-doubt, things that made it so that they were not as able to learn as was optimal. Particularly the things like test anxiety, where a student would get to the day of the test and then just blank out. That's the sort of thing that, I mean, it's an emotional block. It's not like your brain, it's not useful anymore. So we want to try to calm some of that stuff down, and the tapping is really efficient for that.
Well, I've actually heard that the higher your anxiety or upset level, the lower your brain capacity. So being upset actually makes you dumber.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like literally dumber. Yes.
Well, that's great. So you really were able to use it for your students, and you use it in your own life as well, yes?
Yes, a lot. When I first started tapping, I mean, coming up on a decade ago, it wasn't as widely available as it is now. So like YouTube videos and that sort of stuff, there just wasn't that much stuff that I was finding. So I bought Gary Craig's course. The course is it's a DVD course, and it's like hundreds of hours of tapping instruction, demos. So it's really just hundreds of hours of watching Gary work. He developed it based on another technique that was very similar, and his background is actually in engineering. So when he saw the technique and was like, how can I streamline this so that it was something that was more accessible to people? I'm continuously amazed how well it works.
I told a couple people about this series and they thought tapping sounded really weird when I explained, well, you're just tapping on your body and saying some statements and then your pain and anxiety goes away. So can you share a little bit about exactly, like, how does this work for people?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and it's one that I get all the time, and it's one that I still ask. But I also ask myself, gosh, how does my car work? There are some inner workings that I don't really understand. So some of the things that I've done afterwards are like acupuncture and acupressure, stuff that's been around for a long time. A lot of the places that we're tapping are critical points in acupressure and acupuncture. I didn't go on to study acupuncture, so I don't actually know exactly what the points are or what they do, but we're stimulating those points. And acupuncture has actually gotten some really good science behind it now. So all I know is that we're stimulating those points, and it has a direct effect on the nervous system, because that's your whole body, and the nervous system talks to the brain.
Well, that clears it up a lot to know that it has to do with acupuncture or acupressure points that you're activating when you're doing the tapping.
A lot of people ask if you're like, oh, I'm just distracting myself and that's what's happening. But I like to remind them that we weren't distracted from the problem. You literally were just telling me about the problem you were hyper focused on the problem while we were tapping those points. So it's not a distraction. I don't know exactly what it's doing, but it's certainly not distracting because we're focused on it. But from there, it releases something in the nervous system, so whatever's stuck in there.
Well, the reason I wanted to do this series with you is because years ago, I came in to see you for a meeting. Right. You noticed I was distracted and upset. I had just had a very bad conversation. I think it was with my mother. And you did a process with me and released all of it, and it never came back. I don't even remember what the problem was. I'm just really clear my mother and I don't deal with that problem anymore.
Excellent. Yep.
So I wanted to offer this to people that are probably having their own issues with moms and other people around the world. But what other kinds of things could you use tapping for?
I mean, some of the stuff that I heard in Gary's DVDs, there's a lot of stuff that it can be used for. So his thought on it was try it and see. There's not a lot of investment in trying it. The only thing that he does say is that you really do need to be mindful of what you're doing and take full responsibility for it. So if you have serious psychological issues and you're dredging that stuff up, make sure you've got support before you start doing this. So using it for pain, using it for pretty much anything emotional, racing thoughts, cravings, is a pretty wide range of things that you can use it for.
Say more about cravings, because you and I have talked about how you could actually use it for weight loss.
Right, so using it for weight loss is more about using it for the stuff that's going on behind the non-weight loss situation. So using it for cravings, this is something that I go back and forth on. So when I'm using it for cravings, there's a lot of times where I need to start out with a tapping of I don't want to let go of this craving because I know if I tap and the craving goes away, then I won't get my little treat. So some of it I need to back up and do something even more basic on it. Using it for cravings and the decisions that you make, some of the self-talk that goes on, you're so fat, why do you continue to eat that way? That's one of mine that I have in my head. That little itty-bitty committee that won't shut up, just trying to get the volume down on that a little bit.
So it actually turns the volume down on the thoughts that turn into decisions you regret?
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
So you actually, the first time I experienced this, you led me through a process, and we're going to demo that on one of the episodes coming up in this series. But could I do it myself? Do I have to hire somebody, or can anybody do tapping?
Yes, pretty much. The only thing, again, is just taking full responsibility for what you're doing. There's different options for tapping as well. So if you have body restrictions, like you can't raise your hand above to reach the top of your head, there's different things that you can do there too. So yes, anybody can do tapping. I've done it with children. Children seem to either love it or hate it, as with anything for kids. But yeah, so anybody can do it.
So is there anything else about tapping you'd like us to know as an intro to the conversation?
I think that'll all be covered in the demo.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're going to do a demo. So definitely stay tuned for that. Tess, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Yep, sounds good.
Oh my gosh, such great information, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have more episodes coming where we're going to learn about weight loss and cravings and how to use tapping to deal with them. We're also going to see Tess do a demo on moi, and we have some other cool things in store. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when the new Tapping with Tess episodes come out, you won't miss them. If you have any experience of your own with tapping EFT, please share them in the comments. I am also authorized to offer Tess's answers to any questions you may have about tapping. So just put them in the comments and she will answer them herself. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you liked learning about tapping, please share it with people you know. They may want to know about it too. We'll see you next time. I'm Trista Polo. I woke up tapping and it's awesome. Have a great day, everybody.